The Icons of Real Estate podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from eXp's top-producing icon agents? If you are an ambitious eXp agent ready to skyrocket your business, this podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomas Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your eXp business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Icons of Real Estate podcast. With us today, we have Chris Barnes. He's a real estate investor, realtor, and top 0.5% growth leader at eXp Realty. With his wife, Jamie, he has used more than 18 million in private lender funds to flip over 200 houses. He's also GP in 384 multifamily units. Chris founded Invested Agents, as you can see by his shirt, to show agents how to invest in real estate to increase their income, build wealth, and create a lifestyle they deserve. And now our audience is going to deserve a bit of that. And that's why we're welcoming you to the show, Chris. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So usually we start here with the real estate journey. So please do give us a bit of your background. How did you start in real estate?
Yeah, and if we go way back, as a kid, I observed my grandfather who basically played Monopoly where we grew up in Central Texas, and he had rental properties and commercial properties. Even my parents had one rental property, and as a kid, I remember going there when tenants moved out and kind of helping them clean up and do yard work and stuff like that. But in college, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it opened my eyes to actually how money works, but more specifically, how buying income producing assets like real estate and rental properties can have a compounding effect on your net worth and wealth building over your career, ultimately building passive income, which builds freedom. So that opened my eyes. I ended up flipping 4 houses in college. Graduated college, and my business partner and I, we split up. They went on to do something else. I went on to sales. And then 2011, that was back in 2005. In 2011, when my wife and I got married, started thinking about the future. So we started building or buying rental properties. And then in 2014, finally got my real estate license. In hindsight, I wish I did that much sooner, but finally got my real estate license to help my business because I still had a full-time job at the time. And then in 2015, went full-time. So now my wife and I were both full-time in real estate. We haven't looked back since. All in all, we've, like you kind of highlighted on a few of them, we've had 65 million in transactions over the years, around 200 transactions or so in flips. I'm trying to think of the number here. So you said 18 million. It's a little over 19 million now, actually, in private lenders and equity partners in our deals, and about 44 million assets under management. Most of which is that apartment complex that we bought last year. So we're a small GP on it. It's not like I bought the $44 million property myself, but we're also a fund manager now, working with other investors to acquire larger deals and provide good returns.
Nice. And how did the eXp fall in your destiny?
Yeah, it made perfect sense. So I got started in real estate early on just to build wealth and passive income, because no matter what you do in life, if you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a social worker or whatever, you have to build wealth. You have to build passive income. That's how you retire. That's ultimately how you build security in the uncertainty that you lose a job or you get sick or something were to happen where you have that savings from passive income, or not necessarily savings, but that income passively. So you're not required to work, because if you can't work and you don't have passive income, that's a bad situation. But building wealth over time is going to allow you to retire. So real estate has always been a wealth building passive income play for me. When in 2018, a friend of mine who I respected him, he was one of Eat Magazine's top 5,000 fastest growing companies. He was a coach, very good reputation, and just a phenomenal business owner and investor. He told me about this company that I'd never heard of before. He's like, hey, look, meet me in my office and I want to show you this thing. And I was very reluctant to go, not just because I didn't want to hear him out. It was just like, I'm busy, I'm doing things. And the last thing I want to do is be pitched on something. But in any case, I respected him well enough to know that he's not going to waste my time. So sat down and looked at it, and he's like, hey, look, there's this company over here that will allow you to build wealth and passive income while you run your business, which for me was my real estate investing business. And I was like, done, like no brainer. Like I was with a flat fee company before. I like them. I didn't need anything much from a broker. I had to have a broker. So that's why I was with them. They were flat fee. They didn't do anything to upset me or to make me want to leave. It was just, I saw the opportunity to build wealth and passive income. I also saw the unique value proposition to the agent, which I thought was very intriguing because I didn't know what agents look for in a brokerage. I was just the one I was with because they were cheap and I didn't need anything else. So I didn't really realize what agents want, but as I began to understand, what do agents want? What do they look for in training? What do they look for in mentorship? What do they look for in tools and resources? And also, what's the other competition? Like, what are these other companies? What are they offering? And then the more I started looking into them, like, holy cow, like this company is it's far greater than what I ever thought it was.
Yeah,
it has 10x'd that initial expectation, like 10, maybe 50 times more over the past 3-4 years. So very excited I made that decision.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a real no-brainer. And what I want you to explain it, and for us to understand a bit, because here on the podcast, we talked about, of course, like a lot of agent attraction, but also about production. But when it comes to production, it's either focused on commercial or either residential real estate, the typical buy and sell houses. We didn't discuss yet much of the real estate investing part. And I want to ask, how does the real estate, as a real estate investor, how does that fit in the EXP model?
Yeah, so it's all the same. All an investor is a buyer. They're a buyer and a seller. Now, for the realtor, which I'm a realtor too. Now, I was very fortunate in the sense that we had a pretty good amount of volume. At one point, we were flipping 40 houses a year, or around about that. So coming over, like, I mean, I had a lot of control over my own inventory. And so that was just me. I was very fortunate. And on top of that, we're also talking with buyers or sellers all day long. And then also buyers that would come in on our flips and they're unrepresented. Before, I wasn't concerned with any of that other stuff. I'm focused just on my flip. But for the real estate investor, most do not understand that they are sitting on a gold mine of retail commissions if they were licensed. I'm one of those people that did not understand that. So I did the math in 2018. Before I heard about EXP, I did the math. I realized, like, hey, look, of all the deals that we did not buy, but we made offers on, but they sold retail. They went with a realtor, sold retail. I'm in their living room. I made them an offer. It didn't make sense for them. That's fine. So they sold with a realtor. I could have helped them. It wasn't my business. So of all those deals, it would have been $200,000 in gross commission to me that I just threw away. If my conversion ratio, because I didn't know what realtors can convert at, I didn't know their conversion ratios. If my conversion ratio was only 30%. Now, I've since learned that most people will list with the first realtor that they talk to. That's an NAR statistic. And if they're going to talk to more than one, it's usually just two. Mm-hmm. Being an investor, we're early in the thought process because we're looking for the easy button. Can I sell this? Cash? It's just now in 2018, and we're thinking about how we're going to position our business. Like, we can position our business now to be more, how can we help you get your house sold? Now, maybe that's we buy it as is for cash. Maybe it's we help you list it. Maybe it's another option in between. But how can we best serve you? EXP provided those tools for me. Now, other brokerages, I can sell a house with any brokerage, but the benefit we saw with EXP is, one, we get commission on those transactions, whether it's my own flip or a retail transaction. We get stock on certain transactions and the ability to get our cat back through the Icon Agent program, which we've hit twice, 2 years in a row. And then the collaborative team that we're already working with, there's a revenue share opportunity. And then there's the exponential growth opportunity through the revenue share program as we're coaching other realtors how to build wealth and passive income, how to invest in real estate, as they're talking with folks and bringing folks in, people who want to get, work with us, whether hands-on or just kind of in our community. That can grow exponentially, and it has. Here's a good case study. I was in San Diego, spoke at an event in front of like almost 1,000 investors. And we're about to leave San Diego. We're going to go enjoy the nice San Diego weather. This guy comes up and he says, "Hey, I'm going to be getting my real estate license." He lives in Florida. And we're like, "Cool. Hey, let's connect." So we're in San Diego. He lives in Florida. We live in Houston, Texas. And we end up connecting after the event. And turns out he's an Air Force officer. And he's a cancer survivor. So he's kind of planning next steps because he's not flying anymore. So we're like, "Cool, show him EXP." He's like, "Cool." So he ends up joining. He also wants to do investing. Well, 3 years later, that one agent has done $100 million in sales. So he's not full-time in real estate now. 100 million in sales. And he's brought in 100 agents. It's more than 100 now. 100 agents below him, whether directly or just in his organization, which has propelled him to be one of the top agents in Florida in only 3 years. 1.5 of those years actually was part-time. So that's a key distinction. And through collaborative partnerships with clients that he's worked with and just other, other relationships he's built over the time, he's been able to invest as a general partner or some type of partnership in over 300 multifamily and RV park and mobile home park units. That collaboration would have never been able to happen without EXP. Nothing. And you want to take things a step further, through the grapevine, some of the people that are on his team live here in Houston that I've worked with and collaborated with. I was on a call with just recently. One of them actually used to work for me at my company whenever we were scaling the flipping business. Just did not exist anywhere else. And it's been life-changing.
Yeah, that's impressive. And it's do you have the same efforts as them trying to grow the team as well? Because I think so you started the year with something like 160 agents on your underline, right? How are you looking at now?
Yeah, we're 174 now. Yeah. I mean, it changes all the time. We got 10 to 20 or 10 to 15 agents joining a month right now.
Yeah. And do you have a lot of efforts on growing that team, or you're focused more on teaching them how to invest, how to be a real estate investor?
So here's the cool thing, and EXP gives us this ability. I can run my business while showing people and letting them learn with what we're doing. And if they actually want to work with us, like on our team or as a paid consultant, that they have that ability. It's just people who join our team, we just give everything away for free because we want them to be successful, because if they're successful, we're successful. And that's how we're getting deals. There's actually EXP agents, going back to collaboration, there's EXP agents that aren't on our team that we work with. There was another agent on a call just recently. She's with EXP. She didn't join under me, but she's learning what we're doing about real estate investing. There's another EXP agent that we've been able to collaborate with, and he's very interested in doing multifamily investing as a limited partner. So he may be looking to get in on some of the next multifamily projects that we have. So this collaboration, but my main focus is running my business. It just happens to be very related to real estate investing, which a lot of real estate investors are agents, or they have a business partner that's also an agent. So it's this cohesiveness that, again, just makes sense. I could be licensed anywhere, and I'm actually brokerage agnostic. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna naturally go with the brokers that, like everyone else, feels that it can bring the most value, not just now, but over time. Like, where's this thing going to be in 5 or 10 years? And it's unequivocally EXP Realty. Like, there's not even anything that comes close. And again, I don't like, there's a lot of great brands out there, brands that I respect. Before EXP, they're all great. Like, I didn't necessarily care either way. It just came down to what is going to be able to provide the most value now and going forward.
Yeah, I understand that. But in terms of, so the invested agents, what, like the invested agents as they are, it's the name of your team, is that it? So like when you say the business, it's your real estate investing business, which something separate from it, right?
Yeah, so Invested Agents was born at, my wife and I, we did a local event. We've been doing it for years, and COVID shut that down. So we had to figure out, like everyone else, how are we going to continue to get our message out there, educate, collaborate with our target audience, in this like shut down world, go online. I mean, that was the answer. A lot of people did that. So we did that. We rebranded as Invested Agents, but we did more than just do what we were doing locally online. We actually sat back, took a break. I think we took about a 30, 60-day break. And we're like, okay, what do we really want to do? So ultimately, we've looked at leaders that in other industries and also other folks that we've just gotten to know over the years, who the person who provides the most value always wins. So how can we provide more value for free to anyone that wants to listen and connect with us? And so that's where Invested Agents was born. Providing agents the information, resources, and tools that they need to increase their income, build wealth, and ultimately create the lifestyle that they deserve. That's what we're working on for ourselves. So how can we give that out to everyone else? If they want to work with us, cool. If they've got a deal that they want to run by us, cool. If we've got a deal in Seattle that I'm not buying, but there's someone on the team or in the collaboration or whatever, we can pass it along to them. Great. And like, just whatever we can do to help other agents understand, because this is the part that really, it confuses me, but I still understand why it is, because it exists outside of real estate too. But just take realtors, for example. Most realtors will go 20 years. Like, if they're in the business for 20 years, they'll sell a lot of houses and they'll never buy one investment property. Like, outside of their own personal investment, their own personal residence, they'll never buy an investment property. Yet, almost all of them, probably a vast, like 75%, 80% or more, will say they would like to invest in real estate. But they don't, because they think they don't have enough money and they don't know how. And the knowing how is super easy. The resources are there. It's ultimately the decision. So how can we provide the resources in an easier manner, in a better way, to teach them? Because the money part's actually the easiest. Is just knowing how, knowing what to look for. Because realtors, they're the insiders. They know what's going on in their communities. Like, they know that house that they drive by on the way to their listing. It's overgrown and it's just kind of trashy, and it's probably like, they know it's vacant, and it's been like that for 6 months. Like, they could buy that house if they just knew how to do it. And it's not that difficult. And the money part it's not even a problem, because there's way more money out there than most people realize. And
there's also alternatives into, if you don't have money, right, into the syndications. And there was actually, like, I wanted to ask you about that. Like, how do syndications look like in EXP as well? So you work with different teams other than your, like, underline. They're not even a part of your underline, but like, you still work with them. Like, I think that's like synergy that we have to give a round of applause. And even, like, what I wanted to ask is, yeah, so how do you do the syndications in terms, like, if they're realtors, because they're not real estate investors, they're realtors. Do you turn them into real estate investors, or do you bring in investors already?
Both. So there's a lot you brought up there. On
Yes,
that last point, on the last point, like, I don't necessarily. So we have agents on the team. They're 100% retail focused. That's cool. Like that's cool. What I usually try to educate at a bare minimum is teach the retail realtor what the investor looks for. So when they come across those opportunities, they have more tools. So take an unlicensed investor, like a wholesaler. Take a wholesaler. They got one tool. They got a hammer. And if that hammer doesn't work for the situation, i.e., the seller doesn't want to sell as is for cash, then they can't help them. Most realtors only have one tool. They have a screwdriver. If you don't want to sell and put it on the market for in the traditional way, they can't help you. But when you understand both, when you're the wholesaler that's also a licensed agent, when you're the licensed agent that whether you're personally an investor or you understand what investors look for, you have so many more tools and resources available. So now you can go in and literally, I've had family members, close people. There was even a guy who was running for constable, which he's a sharp guy. He's in law enforcement, and it's not like he had problems. He sold us a rental. It already had a tenant in it, and it was a newer home, and he sold it to us at like 70% of its value, 75% of its value. I, knowing that he goes to my church and all this stuff, I disclosed extra. Hey, let me list it. I'll get you this much more. Let me do this. Like, I promise you, I'll buy it if you really want me to. No, he didn't want it. He wanted me to buy it. He didn't want to deal with it. We've had multiple family members, friends that have all done the same thing. Now, the realtor most realtors don't know how to handle that situation because they can't understand why on earth you would not list it knowing that you can get $30,000 more. They just cannot grasp that concept. But some sellers want the as is quick fix guaranteed. They don't want the uncertainty, or they don't want the hassle or headaches that come along with retail listing. So if we can educate agents on our team, or just any agent out there, what investors look for, then they'll have better tools to help their clients. So when their client comes along and they're like, and they tell them, hey, this is what your house will look for. We just got to do a couple of make readies here and there. And then that client's like, I don't want to do anything. We're retired, we're moving, job location, whatever. I just want to sell it. They'll know what to do, and they'll have other options to best help the client. And if they're really good, they may even have buyers in their back pocket to make that deal happen off market if that's what the client wants. Those are the agents that are just focused on one trick pony. The traditional way of putting it on MLS. I mean, anyone can do that. Like, what value are you really providing outside of customer service that is valuable? And then you just being you. I mean, people always work with people they like, but so can in Houston 80,000 other realtors. Like, what's your unique proposition? Like, you got to build that moat around your business.
Yeah, so you're like creating a bit of hybrids here, like realtor / investors, and that
invested agent.
Invested agent. Here we go. Like, it was a long thought process, like 20 minutes or so, but we reached it.
Yeah. Now, the other thing you talked about, syndication. I want to define what syndication is. So it's a crowdfunding mechanism where you can take a little bit of money from a lot of people. It doesn't have to be a lot. It could just be 3. So say you want to buy this apartment complex, and you got to raise $10 million to do that. Well, I don't have $10 million. You probably don't have $10 million, but I can raise 50 from you, 150 from John Smith, and 200 from Sally, and whatever it takes to get to that number. And this is an SEC security, so it's all legal. And of course, this isn't legal advice. You got to check with your attorney, but that's essentially what it is. We're crowdfunding from multiple people or entities, funds, to be able to invest in a large project for a given amount of return or whatever the terms are. So that's a syndication. That's how most commercial projects, especially large deals, multifamily, that's how they're done.
Just a question, Chris. Do you know if the EXP Realty has like internal trainings around like the things that we were talking about? You know, like syndication itself.
I'm not sure on that. I know the commercial department, which I have signed up for some. I've taken just a little bit of their training. And, I take a lot of training outside of that, but they are putting more and more training on the commercial side as that department's getting built out. And I will almost certainly switch over to the commercial department at some point. I still do a decent amount of residential because it's been the business for a while and we still own rental properties, but at some point I'll probably switch over to that department. But I do see commercial training. There was another big, there's a commercial symposium. They do those periodically, but they have another big one coming up. So the training's there. I wouldn't be surprised if they have syndication training. I'm just not 100% sure.
Yeah, so you're thinking of moving to EXP commercial then?
That's what my personal investing business is moving. So it'll make more sense.
Yeah. And what type of training are you providing to your personal agents or to the invested agents?
Yeah. So, well, the cornerstone of the platform we have is the Real Estate Investing Fundamentals Masterclass, where we take agents on it's an 8-part class, and we take them from mindset, how to find deals, how to analyze deals, how to work with contractors, how to repair deals, all the way to making money and selling it, making a profit and building wealth. So that's the cornerstone. We have periodic mastermind calls, which right before this call with you, of course, I don't know when this is going to air, but the second Wednesday a month, we do a group call with our pro members, and then anyone that's actually on our team, we do those weekly, every Wednesday. And those are 45 minutes to an hour where it's fairly open conversation, where we actually talk about our wins, but also bring up our struggles or problems or just things like we're working on. So we can learn, not just from me, because I'm not a know-it-all, but when you get a group of people in that same mindset that have unique perspectives, I can give my 2 cents, but there's also, this investor over here or this agent over here that they've got a perspective on that situation, and then they can chime in, because I've paid a lot of money for coaching, high level coaching. I think the most is around 30 grand for a year, which some of that stuff that may sound crazy to a lot of people, but it got me in the room with people doing 50, 60, 100 plus deals a year. And I could listen in on the conversations. Even if I didn't have the question, someone else had the question. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't think of that. That's good. And now I'm hearing that dialogue and I'm taking notes. So getting that type of hive effect of very driven people all in the same place, having a conversation, is invaluable. So that's ultimately the community that we're building with invested agents, is that community of driven, successful people that are trying to build wealth and passive income, bring them together, have conversations, work on our problems, and get other ideas, and continue to move forward and take over the world.
Perfect. I think you're doing fine by now. and yeah, it's amazing, like to see a new perspective here on the podcast, to how you can really ally like real estate investing with like being like the normal realtor, like you can take your realtor clothes and put the Superman suit and be an investor and save $30,000 or something like that. And
yeah, I mean, you can definitely do that, and the situation always changes. One thing that I learned this the hard way, and I now this is what I coach, is if you're going to be very active on actually forget about that. As a realtor, just be a consultant. That's what you are. You're a consultant. You're a professional advisor to them on their problem, which their problem is their house, whether that's buying a house. But in this situation, we're talking about selling a house. That's their problem. They have a house they would like to get sold, and they're looking for solutions. And as a consultant, you can provide them with your experience and various options that they have available to get them from point A to point B. So I actually took a different approach. Initially, I didn't do this. I would have my investor hat on. If that didn't work, then I put on my realtor hat. That doesn't work. You have to be a trusted advisor. The only way to do that is to be their advisor, have a conversation with them, and provide them with options. Because I guarantee you, the seller, the homeowner that wants to sell and get the most amount of money possible, there's nothing you're going to be able to do to get them to give you, accept an as-is cash offer that's 70% below value. It just doesn't work for them. The same thing happens is the person who does not want that headache and they want the guaranteed sale. There's not a lot you're going to be able to say that's going to get them to accept a listing that is going to get them more money, because they don't care about that. They value time more than money. But I can have a conversation without providing an answer. They'll tell me what they want, and then we can lay out the options. They're the clients, their house, let them decide.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And yeah, do you think like that approach is rare? Like, of course, like you're trying to preach that into invested agents, and I guess that's your competitive advantage. But do you think like out there in the EXP world, they're not doing like you and invested agents are doing?
Well, I mean, the EXP, they do what they do. And most agents, 98%, they're retail focused. That's most business. Like very few amount of the transactions. Now it's growing. It's growing, especially if you want to take in the open doors, the offer pads, orchards, and those iBuyers. It's growing, which is why I think it's more important for both realtors and investors to take that consultative approach and have a conversation and figure out how to solve their problem. Because the retail agent that doesn't know how to do that, then they lose out at a deal because they just went to open door, or they sold to an investor. And then the wholesaler didn't know how to do it. They just listed with an agent because they wanted more money. So it's coming. Agents have to understand how to solve the problem, and the better that they can do that, the more insulated they're going to have on their business over time. You just have to keep adapting. You can't keep doing the same thing, because I mean, the market's dynamics, they all change. And as this iBuyer model, which agents don't like them, but at the end of the day, it's here. It's going to stay. It may evolve over time, and you have to know how to work within that dynamic.
Yeah, it's like either like don't offer a solution, offer the best solution, and leave
for
them.
For them. So, and it's just, again, going back to context. Most agents have the context that listing their house is the best solution. And that is not true. It's only true if they value money more than time. But if they value time more than money, it may not be true. Now, it's just may. I don't know. You got to have a conversation with the client.
Exactly. So, Chris, you also have a book that has just been released recently, right?
Yeah.
Top tips after 100 flips. Do you want to tell us a bit more about it?
Top tips after 100 flips. Yeah, we've been meaning to write a book for a long time, and it didn't start out as a book. Originally I was going to make a more of like a workbook, but after some conversation, realized like the book is there. We just need to expand on, the topics that we had already written out. So it was a fun process, and that's it. Right now it's only because, again, I didn't design to go out and create a book. But when we made that decision, we're like, okay, well, we're going to finish the project. We're going to do it. It's a Kindle only version now. It's 99 cents. And so it's basically as cheap as you can possibly get, without being free. So that way anyone has access to it, because Kindle's free. You can get it on Amazon. But we'll come out with a paper copy later on. But yeah, that was fun.
Nice. So yeah, get yourself top tips after 100 flips on Kindle if you want to change your game into the better way. So Chris, where do you go from here? What are your goals? We're just at the beginning of the year. What is your vision?
$1 billion assets under management. So we've moved hard and fast into commercial real estate, specifically multifamily. So we've got a fund that's not available now, but it's a fund that we're working on and should be open by the end of this quarter. So we're going to be working with the investors that we've worked with on the other multifamily, and other investors that we know want to increase their wealth and passive income through multifamily syndications, and buy high quality assets that provide a solid return. And that's where we're going.
It's like you have an exciting year ahead of you.
It's gonna be fun.
So how can our audience reach you, Chris?
Social media is the best way, really. Investedagents.com/community. So we got our free community. You absolutely join, get connected to, we do events and live podcast shows all the time. So that's how you can stay updated with all that. Tomorrow we actually have a Q&A session with we just did the Invested Agent Summit, where it's an all-day 8-hour live stream with multiple top-notch agent investors. And we're going to do a live streamed Q&A session with a lot of the speakers, or several of the speakers. So we're doing that tomorrow at 10 a.m. and it'll be streamed to our Facebook group. But yeah, investedagent.com/community. Otherwise, you can connect with me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere you find me.
Anywhere. Okay, thanks, Chris. I had a lot of value here. Thanks for bringing at least different things into the podcast. As we were talking a bit before, that we like to do every episode a little bit different. Not always say the same golden nuggets. So I think from you we got a few different golden nuggets that we can use. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this as well.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.